We're so excited. The orgasm
Cool.
doctor's in the house coming in 14 minutes.
Right. And we've done quite the lead up to this because it was a couple weeks ago we had the conversation about men only taking about 6 minutes to have an orgasm, women 20. And Christy's like, oh, I have some answers.
Really?
And we're like, all right, Christy.
Because those whores want multiple partners.
You know,
It's a tag team. I'm going to say their answer is 3.5 men, is what she's going to say is the answer.
I'm just going to let what you said sit there all by itself. I'm not going to try to do anything with it.
Wow.
Let that lie.
That's what she said.
Oh my goodness.
My name's Melinda McKinsey.
Yes, and I'm Tom Wise, and you're going to unpack some shit with us today. It's Friday, April something. I don't know.
April 9th. The days are just flying by.
I'm so glad they pushed the tax thing back. Listen, if they kept pushing it back, I would push it back too. I don't like doing my taxes. So my accountant is like, it doesn't matter, Melinda. You still need to get them in. It doesn't matter.
You owe the money.
Money.
Bump.
So that's why April's kind of a bummer for me because it's like, oh, I have to pay taxes. I don't want to.
Yeah, you and everybody else. No, it's miserable.
Why can't I be like Nike or like Amazon and pay nothing? Why? You would think Nike's and Amazon's taxes would more than make up for what I would need to pay.
There you go. Here's middle class Whitey bitching about Nike and Amazon.
Got to take them down. I'm tired of it.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't mean anything that they generate billions of dollars of tax revenue through their employees.
Well, you can say that as a white man, and here's my answer to that. My answer to that is, these people were given tax breaks under the understanding that they would use those incentives to hire more employees, to build and they didn't do those things.
Who? Nike and Amazon?
Well, I read articles on both Nike and Amazon. What's happening is the revenue that's been generated from, the extra money, not only for the money given during the pandemic, but the having to pay zero taxes. The reason this was put into like an actual law, so they don't have to do it, is with the understanding it's a gentleman's agreement. Hey, well, that's what they're saying, that you can use this extra revenue to hire more people. You employ more people. You can give better insurance. And they're not doing it. I mean,
I heartily disagree.
Go ahead.
So Amazon wants to move headquarters to New York, but they want to have a sweetheart tax deal.
Yes.
But they're going to hire, what was the number? Like 5,000 people. New York, they're going to hire or bring in, and 5,000 people with like an average salary of $150,000 a person. So high-moneyed people coming into New York, and the New York didn't want to give them the break, so they took their business elsewhere.
Correct.
So someone else gets to have that. It gets that 5,000 high-valued, high-salaried employees. So the employees are there. It's not like we're going to all of a sudden take a tax break.
Well, I can hear where you're coming from, but here's the thing, Tom. We're being told one thing and they're doing another thing, and that's the problem. So we read the stories going, "Oh, hey, isn't it great?" You get these.
Yeah, I don't think anybody. No one's getting a tax break without doing what they needs to do to get the tax break. Now this COVID thing where they were just throwing out money to everybody and their cousin with, here, we're going to give you a PPE or whatever the hell it is, or
yes,
cover your, and then you let everybody go after you accept the money. That's completely wrong. I don't think Amazon's done that.
Well, you know what I'll do is I will pull up the articles, and on Monday I'll show you what I've read about the problems with them not paying taxes. And oh, thank goodness you're putting your shirt on.
We have a guest coming.
Oh, I get you. So yeah, we'll have to disagree on this one because first of all,
I'm just telling you how I feel.
Nobody, especially big corporations, should pay zero tax. Nobody. I disagree with that philosophy. I don't care what kind of incentives they think people are going to do. People and corporations that are in those positions know how to manipulate that. And what they're showing is that the execs are just getting bigger bonuses. It happened at Delta, and it happened.
I'm not saying everyone's on the up and up. I'm just saying those instances where companies get tax breaks to move their corporations to another area. That's pretty common. And that's a good incentive if you want to try to rebuild your area. Now, all this bullshit where they take money, they don't do what they said they were going to do with it or supposed to do with it.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong. And I just don't believe that big corporations shouldn't pay taxes. I mean, their taxes have a bigger effect on helping with roads and schools and improvements than ours do. I mean, that's just a known thing. So I don't care if Nike gets to go build in Seattle, but people in Seattle have better jobs. Overall, we would all benefit if they paid taxes.
There's no doubt about it. I think though you're right. I mean, you're right. I'm not going to defend tax cuts. I think that's ridiculous when they're passing out tax cuts. They're gonna start getting more money out of rich people soon.
I saw that.
With Biden's tax increases.
I saw that.
I mean, either the corporation pays the money or the guy getting the money pays the money. The money's coming out.
You hope.
Absolutely. I mean, you and I as individuals, how much energy can we spend trying to decipher stuff that we can really affect?
No, exactly. And I was hoping before Christy came on, we would have a tax debate because I think it's perfect for the lead up to the orgasm.
What are my topics here? First one I can't read.
Yes.
Oh, here it is. Should Patrick and I start a smoothie shop?
Should you or you did?
Or should I? I was talking to a friend of mine who opened a smoothie shop in Tampa across the street from an exercise place. And even during the epidemic, he's still profitable because he's got such flow of customers that come from the gym to get their protein shakes, blah, 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 blah. Well, we just joined a gym, Patrick and I. Haven't been there yet, but the whole mall is abandoned except for the gym.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, we should open up a smoothie shop here. I'd like to be rich too.
I don't know. I don't have enough information about smoothie shops, but I'm sure you would enjoy it. And I'm sure that Patrick, knowing how much he loves creating food, that he would come up with a great vegetarian offering, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes, do it.
Okay.
Do it. I'll invest in your company. I believe in you guys.
Take one. That's done and done.
What you need. I want to do a couple of follow-ups. We had talked about Jack the Ripper and Dave Ramsey. So real quick, I looked some things up.
It's the same person.
Well, I'd read the article and you talked about it, and then you asked me some questions I was unsure of. And I thought, I want to go back and make sure I know what I'm talking about. So it said that the Journal of Forensic Sciences said that based on today's DNA, they believe that the Jack the Ripper was Aaron Kamiński, a 23-year-old Polish barber, but it's based on the fact that they had a silk scarf from 1888 and the DNA matched his ancestors. So they think it could be him. That's the closest they've ever come to, no one ever went to prison or anything like that, but that's the closest they ever came from a silk scarf that was found at one of the bodies. Because I guess I had forgotten, it'd been so long since I studied him. He literally would, take out women's organs and just destroy them. So it was more than a murder. Like he would take out their female parts, it seemed to be some kind of a psychosis, right? So that was never found. And on the same train of thought, Dave Ramsey, he
just as evil.
He has fired 12 employees for having premarital sex. So I just want to leave that off with, he says there's a clause in the contract about righteous living, and righteous living is the righteous living according to Dave Ramsey. And because his business is in Tennessee, he says it's an at-will state. So I'm going to, close this story with just, again, WWJD, Dave Ramsey.
I'm with you, of course, 1,000%. And he's right. Florida's right to work state too. I mean,
we talked about this last week, the whole, I'm pro-life, except for if you're pregnant and you had premarital sex, then you lose all your health care and your adult. That's not pro-life, motherfucker.
It's horrible.
So yes, I wanted to get those two things in. And I looked up this morning what international.
That's what he said. Huh?
International travel restrictions. Do you know what they are? Because things are changing now. The world is is
I
changing.
think some of the airlines are demanding a passport, aren't they?
Not so far. They've talked of it, but they can't, there's no legal way right now to do it. Right now, what they're saying is you no longer have to, they're not doing temperature checks anymore, which I think is unusual because I would think that'd be a real quick way, but they're not. So what they're doing now is you have to have a negative COVID test, but not at all of the airlines. They're saying that if you want to go to Albania, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, or Tanzania, you can go. So none of those places care. Again, Albania, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, or Tanzania, go. Nobody cares.
Go
Go.
with the Lord. Uh-huh.
Zero restrictions, whether you're vaccinated or not. Zero. Heads up on that. Now, they're saying that other destinations, including the Caribbean, Eastern Europe, and Africa, are going to require visitors to have a negative COVID test before they arrive. Okay, that's good. Some places are still requiring a mandatory quarantine, even if you have a negative test. So you need to look them up. Iceland is one of those places. So they're telling people, pay attention before you go. Don't assume it's across the board the same, right?
These are great tips. I forgot. We should have a little segment called Travel Tips with
Travel
Melinda.
tips. Now, they said popular destinations like France, Germany, Spain, and Greece are still off limits.
What
So
about if you've got the shot?
they're still off limits. France, Germany, Spain, and Greece are saying nobody's coming in yet.
Really?
You can't do it. It says, here's the trickiest part of international travel right now, getting home. All travelers, including vaccinated Americans, still need to test negative before you can board your return flight. So just research, man. Don't assume.
Well, okay. I don't think a lot of people are traveling this time of year.
I do. Holy shit. I see people on my social media and I'm just like, what do you, I've seen people travel. I've seen people in Mexico. A lot of it's here in the United States, right? And I'm just like, oh, you live in Florida, but you're in Colorado. Cool. Or someone I learned that was just 2 weeks ago had a wedding 2 weeks ago. This is just me being me, had a wedding. And now they're like, pray for my father. He has COVID. They had many, many people at the wedding from all around the board. So, that's me being me. But anyway, check, because it's not like the airlines are all on track. It's the destination and you have to, there she is. Miss Orgasm is here with us today. Super excited. So that's everything about the travel stuff. Just pay attention and look ahead of time before you go, because it's not across the board.
She doesn't have, can you hear us, hon?
Christy's going to get her volume going. I don't know the secret because oh, I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Welcome to the 22nd century.
oh Tom.
Tom.
Where? I don't know anything about this stuff. I try to blame it on my location, but I'm starting to think it's me.
I blame Indiana.
There you go. Hi, guys.
Hi, Christy.
I feel so fortunate to be on your show again.
Oh, you're our.
This is like Saturday Night Live. Right now, she gets the jacket, the three, right? Your third visit. So we're going to start making jackets. So Christy's winning.
Has anybody been back twice yet?
No. Christy was back twice. And then we had to request her another time. People want Christy. It probably needs to be the Tom, Melinda, and Christy show, to be honest with you, because Tom and I are blathering saying, we don't know about orgasms. What's going on?
I think I had one once.
Oh, well, that's what I was thinking. I was laughing this morning thinking, oh, I'm going on here. I'm going to talk about orgasms. And wow, the single woman who hasn't been in a relationship like how many years?
Drag people off the street next.
I know, seriously. And you know what's the best way to help resolve stress levels? Orgasms.
I'm always relaxed.
Good one. I'm telling you what, there was a piece in the New York Times yesterday telling people how to be careful Now that the weather's nice and people are going out how to have sex carefully because they know everybody's losing their minds. People want to have sex again. So
Help us, Miss Christy.
help.
They're tired of it. They're tired of this
Yes.
being separated and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So
Definitely.
in your practice,
Mhm.
just remind everybody who you are, just in case anybody hasn't met you before.
Okay. I am a doctor of Oriental medicine. I practice acupuncture and herbology, and that entails looking at the body in its entirety, not just specifically isolating one aspect of the body. Although today, talking about orgasms, we are going to talk about just a couple organ systems that work strongly to support good sexual health. So,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
And then Tom and I's qualifications. What are our qualifications for today's talk, Tom?
I like having and giving.
Oh,
There
look
you
at
Help.
you.
I don't think you could give somebody one, but you could help.
And I love orgasms and I love talking about sex and I love learning about sex. I think
Let's
it's
talk
all
about sex, baby.
fascinating.
I wondered if I could sing that song, Tom, although you probably wouldn't have any copyright issues because my singing is so horrible.
It's true. It's funny. It's funny because now, as I post on YouTube, it will check. That goes just as of like 10 days ago. There's a final check for copyright infringements.
Wow.
Hmm.
Getting serious.
It's serious. No more your nonsense.
Exactly. So I won't sing, but
Yeah.
let's talk about sex, baby.
What should we know about orgasms, Christy? What would help us?
Well, some of the things that help with orgasms there's a couple of dynamics. One is the organ systems that are associated with having orgasms and in good sexual practices. In Chinese medicine, we look at the kidneys and the liver function, the kidney jing, and I'll give you a little analogy about that. I think we might have talked about it a little bit before. Yeah, make some notes. Liver stagnation for women is a huge issue, and kidney jing is important for men because every time a man ejaculates, he loses a part of his
3
kidney
minutes.
jing.
Oh,
Yes. There's even a disorder in Chinese medicine that is related to post-sexual activity, post-orgasm for men, where they have brain fog, they get anxiety, they
go on.
just want to go to sleep. I wonder what that, but it's not an excuse for you to be able to not call back in for 2 weeks. You can't claim the brain fog's going to last that long.
Yes.
But you might try it for somebody who doesn't know. I don't know, Tom.
So what I'm saying, so a man loses his jing, you're saying?
It's called kidney jing, and it's in my analogy that I've always used with my patients when you're talking about the different aspects of energy in the body. Your jing is the energy that you were given at the very moment of your conception. When your parents had sex, the minute the sperm hit the egg, that's when you were given your jing. That's your kind of like your trust fund. That's what you get. And when you take your first breath, you start building, once you're born and you take your first breath, you start building chi or energy in your body. And that's like your regular bank account. And every time you have sex or do extraneous activities, you withdraw from that chi bank account, the regular bank account. Every day when you eat, when you rest well, when you exercise, you're depositing into that bank account, not the trust fund, but the bank account. Once you go to sleep at night and your body starts rejuvenating and repairing and recovery mode, if you have done well with your exercise and your diet and you're resting well, then there might be excess of that chi left over. If there's excess, then that excess can go into the trust fund. So, and every time you have sex, for men, every time you have sex, an orgasm, an ejaculation, you're pulling from the trust fund. So you have to work harder to rebuild that energy, to build that back up. So there's that dynamic.
Right.
Women do not lose their jing with orgasm because of the anatomical structure.
Something else is going to happen, Melinda. Hang on. Something bad.
We keep it. Well, we orgasm, and the fluids that are vital to our jing stays in the body. It's not exiting, so we reabsorb that. And if we're in a safe, solid relationship and you're having intercourse with a man who ejaculates inside of you, and you can opt for whatever orifice you're talking about.
Yeah.
If he ejaculates inside of you, especially vaginally, then you absorb his jing. So that's theoretically why women live longer than men.
See, that's a great line now at a bar.
There you go.
Look at how excited Melinda is about that.
Well, I learned a while back, and I wish I would have learned this before I had sex, about how their semen stays inside of you like the rest of your life.
It gets in your brain.
I would have totally had a completely different sex life had I known.
Right?
Yeah. Because that's horrifying.
If this thing's turning into a men hating show.
No, it's not.
Oh, look at Mr. Sensitive.
Tom, this goes both ways, because you actually, when you're kissing a female, when you're exchanging body fluids in any way, shape, or form, you're absorbing some too. They do say, though, with women that when they do the post-death autopsies and stuff, that they find DNA from the men in their lives in their brain. So it just it is what it is.
Ridiculous.
But you definitely, because when you're engaging in an intimate relationship, a sexual relationship, you're exchanging body fluids, whether you're having intercourse or kissing, whatever it is. In Chinese medicine, when you kiss, the two combinations of the saliva in your mouth changes. It literally, the alchemy of that changes, and that saliva becomes what's referred to as a sexual elixir. So it's very important to choose carefully who you share that with.
We're in a panic state now. We're so stressed. We're not going to do anything now. We're making these lifetime decisions every time you go out.
I know, but we were never educated on that. We weren't taught that, so we don't know that. It's just it's one of those things, and it does get back to the point, Melinda, where you literally do have to choose very carefully. Just is. Okay, but we have to be careful too, right, because people might
Tom
not
wants
be
that to stop right now. Tom is like, Tom wants it to be casual, and he's very mad that it has to be more important than what it is.
Well, no, I'm saying well, what's the downside of having a man's DNA in your brain? I mean, it sounds horrible, but what's the downside?
Well, if you can't stand him, then you're not being able to stand a part of your own brain. Then at that point, energetically, I'm not sure it's a good thing, but who knows?
Yes. But I mean, it's very interesting about how, I mean, if you're sharing time and relationships and then physical intimacy, I mean, these are imprinted on your brain anyway. I mean, I've had, I have recollections of virtually every relationship I've ever had, whether it was intense or it was mild or whatever. I mean, it's just how we're just streaming through life. So it's an interesting concept to have the, permanent something inside you. But I mean, it sounds, I think, probably more horrific than it really is.
It's not like a parasite in there. But...
Yeah. It's not changing the way you think, and it's not changing your energy. It's just.
Nobody wants the DNA of someone they don't enjoy.
I can see that. Yes, I concur.
That's the only thing. But but I think because we have extended our lifespan so much, and there's so much, we have so much more potential at multiple exposures to people and different things. I think that changes it, because theoretically, when all of this Oriental medicine stuff started thousands and thousands of years ago, people really didn't live as long as we live now. And I mean, just Tom, stay away from the villages.
Ah, that's one of my favorite jokes that you gave me.
I know. Oh Lord. Every time I think about sex and the ages and stuff, and I have some information, I'm gonna give you some little factoids, because as I said before, my brain's full of shit trivia. Maybe that's from the men that I've had sex with. I don't know. But there's a lot of shit trivia in there. But in Oriental medicine, you study a lot of this. I studied it more extensively, and there's actually a formula that you use according to your age and how many times you should have sex, or have an orgasm, an ejaculation as a man or an orgasm as a woman. And typically, traditionally, because of the patriarchal society, most of these things are written about men. I mean, if you look up the definition of orgasm in the dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary.
Is that called a dictionary for no reason?
It's like, their little example, I wrote it down. Their example of using orgasm in a sentence as a noun was, she managed to have an orgasm. She managed to have an orgasm.
Lord.
And the whole definition is about men orgasming.
Yeah.
And ejaculating. But it's interesting. So do you want to hear how many times you're supposed to be having sex, Tom, or an
Please.
orgasm?
I won't even have to write this down, because this
Can you tell me your age?
My age is 62.
Okay, get ready.
Is this gonna be a weekly, daily, or yearly number?
I'm going to give you weekly or minimums and maximums daily.
WEAK.
Well, and monthly, whatever.
Okay.
If you're over 60, do you want me to give you 20 first? Yes, you're good. No,
Yeah.
If you're over 60, you should have sex at least once a month.
Okay.
That's doable. If you're in average health, if your overall health is average, then you should have sex once every 20 days.
Okay.
Now, are we replacing sex with masturbating, or just an orgasm?
It's an orgasm. It's an ejaculation.
All right.
Now, if you go back to that book that I referenced my first time on, that Passion Play, and you learn how to orgasm without ejaculating, this is referring to ejaculation. So if you orgasm without ejaculating, then you can do that as often as you want.
So
because you're recycling that gene back into your own body. You're not releasing it. So you're keeping it in. So it's actually considered a very strong, like a Taoist health practice, to have an orgasm without ejaculating. So, but if you're in extremely good health, you should be having an ejaculation every 10 days.
Huh. I don't think anyone's gonna have a problem with that.
Well, how many men actually practice having an orgasm without ejaculating?
It's a
0.2%.
I don't even know if it's that. Well, maybe if you say worldwide, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because men aren't taught that.
They aren't. And there's so many things that we are not taught that benefits our health overall. And it's just this information that's floating around out there that we will never know about unless we happen to bump into somebody who's.
So Christy, what about a maximum amount of sex? Is there a maximum amount that is like, okay, at this point you're burning your chi, or your?
Well, it's kind of that average health. Those numbers are kind of the max, Tom.
I should be having sex once a month.
Every 10 days, I thought.
I thought she said 10 minutes.
Every 10 days.
She said 20
No.
days.
No, I said if you're in average health, if you're in good health and you exercise, you're
Good
eating
health.
extremely healthy right now, living with Patrick.
You're in good health.
You're in good health. So every 10 days.
We weren't talking about
it's a-
emotional health, Tom, just physical.
So we're talking about 10 days, every 10, you shouldn't have sex any more than 10, once every 10 days?
Basically, yeah.
All right, well, that's what you're saying.
But
It's crazy talk, but I hear what you're saying.
no, but here's the dynamic with that. That's that's how many times you should ejaculate.
Okay.
Once every 10 days. Now, if you go into that study and you learn how to have an orgasm without ejaculating.
Does that involve clothespins?
Good Lord.
It involves mental
Clothespins and rubber bands?
exercises. Excuse me, you're making me call. Mental exercises, breathing exercises, self-control exercises.
Wow.
Ruh-roh.
Can we get on Melinda? What does she have to do?
What do I have to do? Have
They
you ever
don't even give us a formula, Melinda. It's
There's no
What?
formula because
We
it's only
just-
about right. It's only about the men.
So what about a 20-year-old? How many times a month is he having sex? Ejaculating.
the
30.
minimum. Now remember, because you're supposed to a minimum of once a month for good health. You have to keep the pipes clean. So you have, as a 60 plus, you have to have an ejaculation at least once a month to
Can I get a
prevent
prescription?
stagnation. I do write prescriptions for stuff like that.
Does Medicare
You
cover
get
this?
5. For a 20-year-old, the minimum they should have an orgasm or a ejaculation is every 4 days.
Okay.
If they're in average health, they should ejaculate once a day.
Nice.
If they're in good health, twice a day is a good thing.
Look at Melinda. She's
We've
right.
passed the excitement part.
This is why I date 20-year-olds.
Exactly.
Yeah, why isn't Melinda limited to once a month?
We don't ejaculate when we have
no,
sex. so we don't-
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're sucking the life out. First it's a rib. Now
No.
it's my chi.
Well, that's what they say about that
Your
rib thing, but
G.
Oh,
your chi, yeah. Your jing, not your
Jing,
chi, it's your
sorry.
jing that's being sucked out. I will tell you this, back in the day, the empresses and if you do some other historical diving into sexual practices and longevity practices, a lot of the royalty would have, they were always surrounded by young, virile men, the women were. As were the men always had women, their concubines and stuff, but what they would do with these young, virile men is take advantage of their healthy jing. And they would have sex with them, or they would literally, there are books and records of the fact that they would make drinks or elixirs out of their jing. So they would have them ejaculate and then they would drink the ejaculate and stuff. So it gets really crazy, but there you go. And there's your whole push for swallow, don't spit. So there you go, Tom.
So
well, go ahead. Melinda argued with me last time. I read an article. If a woman wants to conceive, that it's a good thing for her to absorb the man's sperm, so that she can become a better host for the child. That her body will start adjusting to his DNA.
what? What did I argue about?
He starts taking over her brain. See?
Yeah. The argument was for oral sex.
Well, what did I argue about oral sex? What did I say?
You went off on a tangent.
No, I didn't. My tangent is about
I said the guy was arguing that the woman should accept his semen during oral sex as a way to make her body, if she wants to have kids.
But it's
Then her
not
body starts to come.
necessary. It's not
Christy is backing
necessary.
me up on this.
No, she's not. Are you saying, Christy, that it's necessary to swallow during oral sex in order to accept the men's semen to get pregnant?
No, I didn't say that.
Ha!
I won't
understand.
go that far.
No,
I
but I'm
did
just
say-
saying the article I was reading said that. I'm not arguing. I'm not done,
Yeah.
done having kids.
Where
the
did you read that article?
I think it was Men's Health.
Men's Health is going to say that.
I think it was in Blowjob Today.
I think you're right. But the reality is, if you're in a healthy, whatever kind of relationship, I don't even remember what those relationships are, Tom.
I was going to say, what is that? Please break that down.
If you're in one of those things, for the woman, she benefits from swallowing.
See?
Because if the man is healthy, now if the man's not healthy and he's taking a bunch of medications and he's doing a bunch of stuff, that's not a good way to go. Because then I could tell you some stories, but I won't. Well, maybe I will one day.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should just say. I'll tell you. I dated a man who swore he was absolutely taking nothing. No medication.
Always lie
nothing.
about their medicine. They always lie.
Yeah. So we had sex, and next thing I know, I'm covered in a rash on my inside of my arms and the inside of my legs, from my ankles up, which just a rash, just covered in it. And I thought, this is interesting, because I have no other. Everybody checked out okay. Everybody's safe. Everything's been. So then a couple weeks later, happened again, and I said, okay, we're done, because either I'm allergic to you,
Yes.
and your sperm, or you're.
I think Hallmark is
something
coming up with a line of cards.
I Googled the rash
What's
and
this?
stuff, and it was, Cialis. And I do react to most medications. I'm not a good medicine taker. So I react to stuff. So and I haven't had any medications in my body in probably 24 years, 25 years until I did that.
Yeah.
So that twice and done,
Yeah.
that was it. No
Wow.
more.
Yeah.
So and he finally admitted he was taking Cialis. So
Well, it wasn't like a heart medication or some sort of but it is something.
right.
He might have thought that didn't count. It wasn't like I'm taking a prescription for my low iron.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead and defend the man you never met.
I'm just saying. I think that'd be I think it's assumed that anybody over 50 is taking a pill every now and again to help his sexual.
I don't assume that.
I don't assume that, Tom.
Ladies,
I
guess
would
what?
hope.
Start assuming it.
No, I won't.
Okay, Tom, I'm going to tell you some things you can do to help to eat in your diet, and I'm sure you probably already are a lot of these things, because you don't want to have to take stuff to
No, you don't.
enhance your sex drive or your abilities and stuff like that. You want to stay in good state, and if you take good care of yourself, there's no reason to have to take those blue
Nasty.
pills and stuff, because everything should be working fine. And if you only have sex once every 10 days, hell, you're good.
Right. There it is.
Or not have sex if you have
Right.
only have ejaculating.
So what's the formula? Yohimbe?
Tom likes to
No.
throw out fancy things.
You're doing the fix. You're trying to fix it. I'm saying go into the underlying and support
Avocado
the
oil?
basis. Support the basis. So royal jelly is really good for your jing. If your jing's strong, you don't need, and if your jing's strong, you're not going to need heart medication, a lot of other stuff that goes wrong in the body.
Yeah.
So I'll just read this from my phone real quick. Eggs of birds, ducks and chickens,
Uh-huh.
fish eggs or roe,
Oh.
seeds and nuts, pollen, bone marrow,
Mm.
particularly from the pig spine. I'm a vegan. I go against Chinese medicine theories because I don't eat meat, and so I'm vegan. But that's not necessarily perceived to be a good way to practice your diet. Seaweed and algae, artichoke leaf, nettles.
Mm.
Now's a good time if your yard's blooming full of nettles and dandelions. Get out there and eat that stuff.
Eat the
Not if you
dandelion.
spray it, but if it's clear, we have clear in our yard, and I can't wait to start pulling dandelions once the flowers start to go, and have some good dandelion tea and just dandelion greens. Oats and raw milk. I don't say drink raw milk. It's a thing in Chinese medicine, but if you're going to drink milk, it's probably the healthiest way to drink it. But milk is very phlegm producing, and that's not a good thing in Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
So anyway, did I say oysters, Tom?
You
Nope.
did not.
Oysters are good. Kidneys, brains, those kinds of things are all good for your Jing replenishment. So they help support your kidney Jing. So they're strengthening and building your trust fund.
Nice. I like
Yeah.
that. Thank
You know, I think here in the United States, what you said was so important, Christy, because a lot of times we're just looking to fix an issue instead of creating the underlying base of what we need to
Right.
be healthy. We're used to a quick fix, a pill, or what have you. So we have to change the way we think about how our body works and what we need to do, because it's not a quick fix. If you have an issue, you've got to get to the base of what your problem is.
Right. You need to get to the root of the problem and resolve that, rather than just tapping down the symptoms constantly, because that really doesn't do any good. And it actually causes long-term, creates some more issues. For example, with men taking Cialis or Viagra, any of those assistance pills, they typically create more health issues down the line.
Yeah.
And it's you got to figure, and I'm not going to say anything bad about men, Tom, but
Go right ahead, Christy. I take
will.
nothing.
I'll do it.
I take
I'll
nothing
do it.
personally.
I'm
I'll do
teasing you because the thing is, it's not just about the carrot right here in front of your nose. You have to look long term,
Of course.
to get because you don't know if that person's going to be around in a
Oh,
long time.
I want to circle back. So you're saying if
Okay.
the good Lord blesses me with a sexual partner, we're only having sex once a month?
If you're only ejaculating once a month.
Oh, yeah, I got to do that other thing.
Yeah. You might want to check into that.
I believe I've had that happen by accident. So it's very interesting. So it's not anything I'm not familiar with, but it's very interesting.
It's very interesting. And it's from what I understand, is as satisfying as ejaculating, if not more so.
Well, because I've had
Because
that.
you don't get the fatigue afterwards.
Yeah, it was interesting because I said, I think I had an orgasm, but I didn't ejaculate. So there's a little confusion there too. It's like, am I done? I feel like I'm done. But I haven't ejaculated. It's like, it's odd.
But the
Do I
reality
still have to
of that
pay?
We cannot have a serious sexual conversation with Mr. White.
I went 90 seconds.
Oh, please.
you sucked me right into that. Too.
I was not going down that road when I started. It just popped up, so to speak.
Okay.
Christy, why, according to what I read, our bodies don't match. Men can reach an orgasm a lot quicker than women can. So what's that dynamic about? What's going on there with our bodies?
With energetically, what happens is men's sexual energy is focused specifically in the groin region. That's where it is. Their energy stays there, and it's driven from that position, that spot. For women, our energy tends to reside higher in the brain, the throat, the head, the upper area of the body. So to get to the point of sexual arousal, a man has to work, or a female, if you're masturbating, have to work to get that down to the groin area to be able to have an orgasm or to reach satisfaction that way, because it's just not where our energy lies. So there's two different things. The funny thing, when I took my training with Felice Dunas, the Passion Play author,
Yeah.
she said, ladies, if you want to have sex, if you're ready to have sex, just grab him by the crotch and go for it. He's always ready to go. Always, always ready to go. And this is not to say anything bad about either sex, Tom. I'm not saying anything
You're just
bad.
you're just calling balls and strikes.
Exactly. So a man, you grab them, they're ready to go. That's just the way it is.
I don't
For a
think there's any argument.
woman, if you want to have sex on Tuesday night, you better start Friday night building her up to that. Because, and look, you got 10 days, you only can do it 10 days. So you got long there you go. You're in the perfect zone, Tom. You're in the perfect zone. So, but a guy you really have to start, like, by her example was for younger men, even younger couples, get the babysitter, run the bath water, bring her wine in the tub, give her a foot massage without going right into the sexual activity, but build up for a few days.
Is a roofie involved? Because then we could just forget it about the massaging part.
There you go. That just eliminates any work, doesn't it? Don't be a part of the pill pop.
Of course. No, I think I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of, keep romance going, keep it all exciting, keep it, running.
And what that does for women is
foreplay.
it stimulates their brain, which is
course.
what they want.
Of
And
course.
then that will drive the energy downward. So, but like I said, it takes a lot longer for that energy to get down to the groin for a woman than it does for a man.
So it's like the love language thing, where I have found from the conversations I've had with my girlfriends, the concern from the men is, oh, it takes too long. And they're understanding it's easy for them. So they want it to be easy for the women too. And so there seems to be a block of like, well, I can do this fast. If you just really put your heart into it, you could do this fast too. You're mad, you're this, you're that. And it really is a biological thing that we've got to have this right. And so men get upset that women don't want to have sex when they're mad. And it's because we almost can't.
Well, we really can't, because here's the dynamic with that. When I was talking about the organ systems involved, and I said with men, it's kidney jing, and that's at play there in a good, healthy sexual life, basically.
Yeah.
With women, it's more liver energy. The kidneys are vital to both sexes, but for women to be able to have healthy orgasms, they have to have liver chi flowing smoothly. It cannot be stagnant or blocked. And anger is a block. If you're angry about something, your liver energy is blocked. Okay. So women they have to be eased in to make up sex pretty much. It's not like they're gonna just.
This is all sounding like more trouble than it's worth.
That's what I'm saying.
Knowledge is power, Tom. Don't piss her off if you want to get that blowjob.
We're gonna have hats and bumper stickers made.
Exactly. But that's part of the dynamic with it. And like right now, springtime is associated with liver function. That's why the last time I was on, I recommended people drinking lemon water tea, hot lemon water tea in the morning. Yeah. Good job, Tom. Is that in a Corona glass? Look at you.
I feel like I'm at the beach. I'm on vacation.
Exactly. There you go. That's good. That's very good.
See?
So
I can be taught.
Make sure. Yay.
Everybody, Tom needs a moment, and he needs a gold star because he's got a lemon, everyone. Yay,
Tom,
Tom.
I done
Can
good.
Patrick bring you a cookie?
Patrick's at his yoga class. He's all vaccinated up. He's out in the world. He's joined the
Oh,
gym,
wow.
taking a yoga class.
Yeah.
It has always intrigued me, Christy, that and this is just my experience and my girlfriend's experience, that it seems to be the majority of the time that men don't take the knowledge they could to really rev up their sex life. Instead, they will argue about the fact of, oh, she's mad. And oh, I don't want to spend a lot of time. And I've really tried to explain to my male friends, women sadly don't even require a lot from men. The bar is so damn low that if they would just actually participate in the smallest amount, their sex lives would be phenomenal. But I feel like women get the hit a lot because it's like, well, she's mad and I could just forget it. And then throwing the women under the rug, when really, get over yourself and rub her back and see what happens. Genuinely compliment her. Oh God, that's so fucking easy. But it seems to be the misconception between men and women. The misconception between men and women is that we understand at very different levels and we're having a hard time understanding each other so we can make it work together.
It definitely, for it to be healthy and satisfying on both parts, it takes obviously communication and cooperation. But for women, it literally is a minimal investment for the end result you're going to get with the whole situation. So
it's all about trying to create a healthy partnership and relationship. It's not all quid pro quo. You do this, I do this. We're trying to build a relationship. So hopefully it all comes naturally and it's all fun and it's all done with a loving heart. It's not like I'm gonna rub your back, you'll rub my butt, and nobody wants to be involved in that. They want it to just all be natural.
Well, what I'm saying is men get frustrated because they're like, well, she doesn't want to have makeup sex, she's mad. And what I'm trying to say is, if you calm down and rub her back, the anger will subside and you will have a healthier relationship. But there are walls, I think, on both sides because we don't we get mad at you guys because you can have sex so quickly and so easily. That angers us. And I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying that's the way we are.
It is what it is. Absolutely.
It can be frustrating. Yeah. The best way to get a woman, for anybody to get beyond a situation of emotional anger and frustration is to take a walk.
Oh,
Get out and take a walk.
okay.
You move your energy, your liver chi moves. So that's a good way to get things going, get things moving.
Okay.
And it really does make a big difference in how you feel overall. It gets things moving. That energy, that pent up liver chi stagnation is one of the things that oftentimes women, and I don't know, well, how will I say this? Oftentimes there'll be experiences where a woman will have an orgasm and she will cry during the release of the orgasm. And that is because of the liver function, because the liver releases so powerfully that it's just releasing all that pent up frustration and whatever emotions she's got stuck there. Because in Chinese medicine, the liver is the organ that processes all of the emotions. It's the organ directly associated with anger and all those little side emotions associated with that, frustration, irritability, those types of things.
Yeah.
But the liver also filters the blood and other things in Chinese medicine, and it is filtering all of the emotions. So if there's a lot of sadness or a lot of grief or just a lack of willpower, just a lot of things, if you've got any of those kinds of deep emotional things going on, it's going to be a little tougher to get her to orgasm. And then her orgasm is probably going to be a little unsettling once it does happen, because there's such an intense release. I think that release scares the hell out of a lot of people, men and women, on both sides. If a woman starts just sobbing and crying after she's had an orgasm, some guys might think, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right.
No, most women cry after they have sex with me. That's for sure.
Right.
What about a physical potion that a woman can take to keep her liver clear?
There's all kinds of different
And
herbal
does-
formulas for
and does-
that. But
does-
again, it depends on the woman and the situation. You can't just across the board say,
Of
you know,
course,
everybody
of
should take
course.
this.
Right.
So, but there are a couple of formulas that are pretty standard for getting the liver unblocked. They can create a lot of problems if you're not taking them correctly. Because the other thing is, if you try to unblock that liver stagnation too quickly, you end up, the woman can be headachy, extremely irritable, angry.
Oh my God.
So these are
side
formulas
effects.
you want to be very careful with, Tom. All the side effects that you don't want associated with sex.
I've definitely gotten extreme headaches after having an orgasm. I definitely have had that happen to me, not on a regular basis, but it's such a bummer because you think, oh man, I couldn't even enjoy that because now, and clearly it's all the stuff that's going on, you know, with everything.
It's probably everything just releasing. And
Yes.
And it is the liver. When I visualize the liver in Chinese medicine, I always visualize it like that bowl where there's just like steam coming out of his nose and his ears, and it's just like that. And it's that kind of forceful energy. And it's a little, it can be tough. And if it is released too quickly, which often will happen with orgasm, then you can get headachy or really angry or just not feel good. It doesn't feel good necessarily. So that's why the gentle nudging with herbal formulas is the best way to go with some of those things.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Are men's orgasms different than women's as far as how they feel or how it benefits them?
Yeah, because with men, when they with their orgasm, it's not so much the ejaculation. Yes.
Yeah.
The ejaculation is more the dynamic that's
Okay.
different. So because they're losing that jing.
Right.
And as they lose that jing, that's why men, as soon as they have sex, they're typically exhausted. They want to sleep. They just roll over and go to sleep because it's not, as women, we can't really take that personally because it's not directly focused to us. But
It's actually amazing how much of a switch that is.
it's crazy.
All you're thinking about is this, and then a second later, you're thinking about that.
Sleeping. Yeah. But that's part of that
Right.
that trust fund that you're losing when you expend that energy. You're exhausted. You really are. I mean, there's nothing. Your brain stops.
It's like you took a
It gives
pill.
you brain fog. It can give you anxiety. It can give you all kinds of things. So you definitely just want to go to sleep. So, and that's the way that is. And again, by learning to do the orgasming without ejaculation, then you won't have that end result. And again, you're reabsorbing that jing, so it's benefiting you from a health perspective. So long term, it's going to help keep you healthier. So you can lead a horse, though.
You can lead a horse, but you can't make him keep his jing.
I mean, it would be so nice if growing up we would learn these things so we could have regular conversations about this.
Absolutely. Wouldn't it be nice?
Start having sex, it wouldn't be so awkward and weird because nothing, right? I mean, and especially in the era we grew up in, it really wasn't about satisfying us at all. It was really about satisfying the man. And when you look back at it now, like it didn't take anything to satisfy a man. There was no work involved, So I would love for today's women to be able to have these kinds of conversations, and there should be no embarrassment or anything, because we like to learn about other things. Why is it when it comes to sex, people get weird having that when it's so critical to your partnership?
Right.
I think it's part of, what were you going to say, Tom? Go ahead.
No, I agree.
I think it's part of that whole very puritanical societal model that we're dealt with, that you're not supposed to talk about these things. You're not supposed to talk about the human body, and especially functions of sexuality. It's just not even, and I think we have to change that. And that's one of the things, that's why I years ago took the training in sexual Chinese medicine and sex, because I just felt like it affects people's health to the extent that it can affect it severely. So I just felt like it was a necessary thing to know, and to be able to talk to patients openly about it and have people understand that they could come in without judgment attached to anything that I'm hearing or we're discussing or anything, and to be able to come up with solutions for that. I think it's key in helping, and I think it's key in helping our society and our cultures, and the whole, I mean, it gets you off into the whole dynamics of how men treat women and the rape mentality, and just the whole process of empowering women with their bodies too. I think that's a key factor with all of it. So I just felt like it was one of the things. My sister was teasing me last night. She said, "Oh, the family's Dr. Ruth is going to go."
No, there was
our family's Dr. Ruth is going on.
Yeah, Dr. Ruth was great. I mean, she was perfect.
It was amazing. I loved her work.
Yeah.
I loved her work.
She was not a sexual person. I mean, she didn't come off as a sexual person, like a sex kitten. She's a professional doctor. What's that?
Was so direct.
So direct. I met her.
So helpful.
Did you?
Yeah, in home shopping.
She came on home shopping?
Yes, we did a segment. She was selling a book.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Very nice. Well,
That's
Christy,
wonderful.
I would like to, I know we're talking about orgasms, and I know we've run out of time, but when you come back, because of course you will, I hope, I really want to go into the health benefits or the issues with different kinds of sex, different types of sex, not just vaginal sex, and research and really have an honest conversation about what that means for both parties.
Yeah.
Look at Tom, how nicely I said that.
Look at you. You said it like a grown-up.
You said it like a big girl. But I do think orgasms are important. So before we go, are there any tips you can give to men or women that would help heighten their orgasmic experience? We've talked about food, we've talked about mental health. Is there any other kind of tips you'd like to close off with to guide people to help them in that way?
I think probably, as long as you're taking care of yourself, drinking plenty of water, those kind, getting exercise, well, even if it's just walking, movement helps move that energy, those types of things. And then I think also part of the relationship sexual practice needs to be focused on things that are helping each other feel and stimulate each other, so that it's a long term, but it's not necessarily sexual stimulation. I think I sent you some information about the erogenous zones and those types of things. And I think that's key to making it, you could call it sexual play, but it's really not. It's like foreplay, but it doesn't even have to be sexual. It's just making everybody feel good. And I think we're at a time where that's extremely important right now. Everybody needs to have some sense of feeling good. So I think, learning and the key to it is being able to communicate with each other, being able to feel comfortable enough within your own sexuality to be able to communicate that with your partner is key. So if you know yourself through masturbation or whatever, however you're having sex, if you know what makes you feel good and what is good for you, what works for you, then giving up that information to your partner that you feel comfortable and safe with, then I think that's really key. And it's going to take everything up to a level that's well beyond what most of us have experienced a lot of time in our lives as we become more comfortable with our own selves and our own sexuality. So figuring out yourself and then being able to express it to somebody, I think, is key.
Amen.
love that. I love that. We need to have weekend retreats.
I was driving. Is it not sad? You know, I'm here in Indiana. I was driving to the store the other day to pick up some bird seed. Lots of like a lot of bird seed.
Yeah.
Like 100 pounds, 100
Yeah.
pounds of bird seed.
Wow.
And I saw this big barn with a sign on the side that said 85 acres for sale. And I was like, ooh. It's in Indiana.
It's in Indiana.
Yeah, that's the bad part.
That's the bad part. Yeah, because up here, literally all the stuff that's here, the cornfields and stuff, and it's all big agriculture. It's the chemicals, the stuff. That's what I mean.
Yes.
Kind of what we're dealing with here with my mom and my
Wow.
Yeah.
stepdad when he died and stuff. It's just
Yes.
it's exposure here. What are you gonna
Yes. Agreed.
So-
I think the three of us should look into buying an island. We can
Okay.
have weekend retreats for people, whether they want to talk about their sexuality or whatever. And I think it would be a lovely gathering. That who wouldn't want to participate in that? We could buy an island, guys.
Let's do it. Let's stop talk island. I thought we were going to Italy for $1 a day.
No, that's Airbnb. That's not, we're not going to spend a regular amount of time there. We're getting Italian villas for Airbnb. This is a place we'd actually spend some
Oh.
time and do our sexual retreats.
Very good.
There you go.
I'm in.
There you go.
All right. I'm going to
We
read.
could have a nudist section for Tom. And
Why am I the nudist?
well, you're the
But
one
you're
that
right,
hangs
though.
out
You're
at the-
right.
You hang out at the places, Tom.
You
I
hang
said
out
that.
at the places.
Literally hanging out.
Would you,
Oh, yeah.
have you done that, Tom? Have you walked around naked at a nude beach?
I have not.
Would you?
I believe I would.
Okay.
I think, you know, as a person on the planet, I think you should try to experience everything you want. And that's kind of be interesting. I think it's more of a thought thing than I don't think it's as nearly as exciting as it was when I was thinking about it as I was 15.
Yes.
Now it'd be like you're just walking all your pants
Yes.
off and everybody else has got their pants off. It's like,
Yes.
yeah, men are kind of gross. Women are more attractive, and that's no surprise.
You know, I've never
Try not to get a
participated.
boner.
I've never participated in a nude beach, but I think I would do it if it was females only, so I wouldn't worry about being sexually harassed or feel like it might be a sexual
Yeah,
situation.
I think it's an interesting dynamic. I tell you this. I've only went to a couple of parties. It's kind of an interesting thing where they're non-sexual and sexual at the same time.
Huh.
I think it's frowned upon
like
to be
people.
sexual with somebody, you know, who's not giving you an immediate vibe. I think you're shunned.
It would,
Gotcha.
I don't think guys are hitting on women on the regular there.
probably not, but at the
Just,
same
it's probably
time,
just like being clothed. I mean, it's probably the same. I mean, it's just different. You got to condition yourself to that level of comfort with it.
Right.
But I don't know. I've never done a nude beach before. I've been to one. At that stage of my life, I didn't feel comfortable enough, which I could kick myself in the ass because I was like, 26
Right.
and I mean,
Smoking hot.
smoking hot body. I mean, that like, duh. And why didn't I do that? I do the same thing about sunning in the nude. Why did
Yeah.
my grandmother had an island home down in Florida on Casey Key. And never did I ever do the nude sunbathing. And I thought, what a dumbass. Sometimes you think, what was I thinking?
I think,
But I was
Christy,
too worried.
growing up in the area that we grew up in, Christy, I'm wondering if it has to do with the fact that as young women, we were told from a very, very young age to cover ourselves up, to not be sexual because you might draw the boys in. So we felt
Yep.
a lot of guilt about making people sexual. I think that's a lot of reason why I haven't participated, because it always felt like I would be in danger.
Yep. I think you're right.
It'd
I
be
think
nice
you're
to have-
definitely right. Because I know I definitely have through my life dealt with those kinds of dynamics where you feel like, oh, I don't want to be too sexy. I don't want to look too sexy. I don't want to,
Yeah.
I don't want to step into where I am in myself.
Yes.
And so you do kind of pull back and protect it. And I do think it has to do with the upbringing in this area, a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, skinny dipping. Have you done skinny dipping?
No,
No. Oh, Melinda.
I never
Oh,
have been in a
Melinda.
circumstance that it was safe.
Yep. It's amazing. Have you skinny dipped, Tom?
Not enough, but the answer is yes.
Okay. So it's just very freeing. And it doesn't, to me, skinny dipping wasn't sexual at all. Because
Yeah.
I guess well, thank God, because I was in Indiana and it was a family group. When we were kids, my stepdad used to shut the lights all off back here in the back of the house. And he'd say, okay, everybody take your clothes off and get in the pool.
That's
we'd
hilarious.
We'd swim in the pool in the moonlight. They had a huge pool back in the backyard, but we'd swim in the moonlight and stargaze and stuff like that. But nobody was ever getting in your space. And even the kids like playing around and teasing each other and stuff, that didn't happen when we were out there skinny dipping. Everybody was self-consumed and concerned enough to stay in their own spaces. But it was very freeing and very much, it was fun to be able to do that in the moonlight and stuff. And
Oh, nice.
stars. But yeah, but I think, definitely the nude beach, I don't know about that. And don't laugh because I was skinny dipping with family time. I did
It
it
was
a
in
few times
Kentucky?
in the ocean. I did it a few times in the ocean with
That
my
would be fun.
husband. Yeah.
That would be fun. I
was terrified of sharks. It
I
was
would
dark.
be too. I mean, I would be available for skinny dipping, but again, it's just never, it's never come up in my life where there was a safe environment. I've had plenty of men ask me to skinny dip, but it was all very sexual. It wasn't,
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
the thing I wanted it to be. So, and still, it's not too late. I mean, I could definitely see me, traveling somewhere and skinny dipping with a safe group of friends where it was just about having fun and not about it being sexual. I would be very excited about that. But we'll have a nude beach on our island. So Tom and whoever else wants to do that can do it.
Come one, come all.
I'm fine with that. So,
but only once a month, Tom. Only once a month. Oh,
very good.
No,
Well,
I'm sorry. 3 times a month because every
Thank you.
10 days.
Every
10 days. Sorry.
So what's
Because
women are
everybody-
just limitless. They just go ahead and do whatever they want as many times as they want.
but we're not getting rid of our.
I'm asking the doctor.
You're right, Melinda. We're not losing jing. We lose our jing when we menstruate and when we give birth. So those are the only 2 times really that we
All right. Other than that, it's have at it.
Have at it.
Thank you. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. So
We're looking for.
My girls just got their shots in Indiana. My girls drove from Chicago. I just got a text that they just got their shots in Indiana.
Okay.
They had to
Very
go to
good.
Indiana.
now they
to get
opened
shots.
them up to 16, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Chicago, you still got to be 103.
I figured it was across the board. I know in New York it's 16 and up, which has made it more difficult for everybody because now everybody's lining
They
up.
should have gone
So-
10 years and 10 years anyways.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
well, I hope that everybody's learned about orgasms and at least they're willing to do some research. And then the book is called Passion Play that Christy has spoken about, which I do recommend. There's a lot of really great information in there. And as Tom learns to have orgasms without ejaculating, I'm sure he'll share with us
I'm coming out with a video. I'll be doing a YouTube.
how that
Do a
works.
YouTube. Start a YouTube channel, Tom. All the good info.
Lots of
You'd
good
be
info.
surprised how many people you have on there.
Well, thanks for
Oh.
coming today, Christy.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for having me. I
Thank
so
you.
appreciate it. And I love coming on anytime. I love doing this with you guys.
Good.
It's
We
appreciated.
need you. We need you back because the next topic needs to be different types of sex and how
Okay.
that for or against you.
Okay. Sounds
All
good. Sounds
Okay.
good. Bye, guys.
Bye, Christy. See you
Bye,
next
Have a great
time.
weekend.
Thank
Have a good
you.
weekend. Thank you.
Bye. So what do you think, Tom? What did you learn? I learned some things I didn't know, which I think are interesting as far as, oh, Christy's still there, but that's okay.
Am I here?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought he was gone. Are we
You
allowed
shouldn't
to
have
still
said
talk?
anything.
Tom will record
can't pick my
everything. He
nose
doesn't
now.
care.
I can't pick my nose.
That's the way that works.
Do you want me to see if I can let you out?
It doesn't matter. Whatever.
Yeah, Tom has the controls. There we go.
There we go.
You know what? I need to do more research on all this. I think as much as I think I know my body, I think there's still so much more to learn that would make my life better if I was
As we're
more.
approaching the end of it, right? We're approaching the end. We're less virile, less sexual, more on the downside, and we're still grasping for information.
It's always good to learn, though. Who knows? Maybe some of the best sex of your life in your 60s. Who knows?
Who knows? I hope like my mom. I remember when I asked my mom, is it, better yet to come? Oh, absolutely. Right. She was 84. Yeah.
Best
yeah. My better life. My best days are ahead of me.
That's right. I love that.
Well, thanks for bringing Christy back on. It's always fun.
Yeah. I forget how much information she actually has. She's worked with so many clients over the years, just so many great stories. And I think growing up in this culture, I feel like you're the same way I was, Tom. Like, I didn't go to an acupuncturist when I was young. I knew nothing about acupuncture or how my body worked. I just went to a regular doctor. And if
we're just groomed to work at Walmart. Anything outside of that, you're on your own.
I was groomed to be married. That's really what my parents wanted me to be married. They didn't even want me to go to college. They're like, just get married and you'll be fine. So it's so good to learn these things. I appreciate it.
All right. Daddy's got to go to work.
Go to work, and we will see everybody on Monday. I forget the date, but I'm sure we have something exciting. We have a guest coming up in April, Adrienne Lopez. She's going to talk about why women cheat and about her stint on the Oprah Winfrey Show. So that'll be great.
How nice is that? Well, very good. And thanks for watching the show. And my name's Tom Wise.
And I'm Melinda McKinsey.
Thanks for unpacking some shit. That's another one in the can. But that's we'll talk about that when Christy comes back.
That's right.
All right, bye. And